Welcome back to the Cyber Distortion podcast. In this episode, we are diving deep into one of the most pressing challenges in cybersecurity, finding the right talent. Join us for an eye-opening conversation with Roger Einstoss, co-founder of Braintly, a company revolutionizing how organizations source cybersecurity professionals from across Latin America. With decades of experience and a sharp eye for global tech talent, Roger shares insider knowledge on tapping into thriving hubs like Argentina, Brazil, and beyond. We explore how Latin America is rapidly emerging as a hotbed for skilled cybersecurity professionals, and why North American companies are increasingly turning south of the border for outsourced expertise. Kevin and Jason, take it away.
Welcome, everyone, to the Cyber Distortion podcast. Kevin and I are at it again. We're bringing you episode 9. And in this episode, we are bringing a different topic, one that we haven't talked about enough. And that is the cybersecurity skills gap. Question being, if there's a skills gap, what does that really mean? It probably means we don't have enough talent to fill the gap. So why wouldn't we consider filling that gap from other sources, like maybe other countries? And in that case, maybe even consider doing something with South America. So today, we're bringing on a guest that can tell us all about what that looks like in that South American area and how you might be able to benefit from it. Today, we have with us Roger Einstoss, and Roger will be helping us break through some of this information so that you're at least walk away feeling a little bit more educated on your options. With that, let me tell you a few stats on what the skills gap looks like for us. So this workforce gap, according to ISC Squared, they did a workforce study in 2023, and supposedly that showed that we had anywhere between a 3.4 million individual skills gap all the way up to 4 million individuals, that we need to fill now, or jobs that we need to fill. Jump into 2024, and that was even as high as 4.8 million. So it continues to climb. Now, that being the case, if we're not closing the gap and the gap continues to widen, what are we going to do about it, and what are our choices? You can continue to try to train in-house internally. You can ignore the fact that you need more cybersecurity professionals. You can also do that, but that's not going to help you. Or you can, you can reevaluate maybe the job positions that you have and rescale them slightly different so that they're multitasking. But at the end of the day, you're still not solving the problem, because there's a skills gap for a reason. It's because there are certain skills that are necessary to do the jobs that we do in cybersecurity. And if you don't have those skills, there will be a gap. So with that in mind, Kevin, what's your thoughts on today's show? And we'll jumping into this topic.
Yeah, man. Well, we've talked about this before, Jason. I remember we had a guest on last season and we were talking about the skills gap. Was it real? Was it not real? And, you can argue both sides of that argument. Is there really a skills gap when we see all this unemployment, people struggling to get jobs and whatnot? Or is it over exaggerated? I've got my opinion. I won't get into that right now, but we've heard both sides of that argument. I think in all of this, there's one thing we can all agree on. In 2025, we're seeing a particularly pronounced gap in the areas of new technology, emerging tech, AI. We're hearing a lot about AI. Most companies are struggling to fill that particular need, most definitely. So that one's going to be a fun one to watch over the next 10 years or so. But let's shift focus to today's discussion. And what I really want to talk about is, when it comes to finding good talent, why would South America be a region worth watching? And that's why we brought on you, Roger. We hope to answer that question today. There's certain things that we'll probably touch on today with cost savings, time zones, success stories, and all that. So, but before we get into it, I wanted to give you an opportunity, Roger, just to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what you do over at Braintly, and kind of how you got into what you do today.
Okay, cool. I'm Roger Einstoss. I was born and raised in Argentina. I'm 36 right now, pretty close to turn 37 next month. And I started coding when I was 15 years old at high school. And I always knew that I wanted to do something with computers. I wasn't pretty sure about how, but I knew that something related to computers. This was 20 or 25 years ago. So after graduating from high school, I got my first job as a software developer, started writing code in PHP, which used to be a very a famous language. It's still very useful. It seems that almost 40% of the web is written in PHP, so it's still a good language.
I still use it. What does that say about me, right?
Yeah. Well, but because it's still very useful for many things, even now with AI. So after getting my first job, I also went to the university here in Argentina, which is free, completely free. That's one of the main points about talent, but we will talk about this later. And I got my degree of software engineering, and I kept my career going forward, working for different companies, going from being a junior developer to a semi-senior developer, a senior developer, a project manager. So I've been in different parts of the whole process. Eventually, I met my co-founder, one of my co-founders, Facu, working together for another company. And he was the one who started saying, hey, we should do something. We have a big opportunity to work with talent from Latin America for companies located in the US or in North America. So we just started. We got our first client, and that client brings another one. And that was 12 years ago. So
wow,
long time ago. We have been in the business for more than 10 years. So I have any kind of story to tell, as you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good stuff, man. I'm excited to get into this. I know that this is a region that to be honest, and this is probably just for lack of this being common to most people that are in positions like mine. When I start looking to fill a position, first you think local, then you think, okay, well, could this be a remote position? And then you start to consider, okay, well, what could I possibly outsource? Or what could I possibly hand off to someone else who is either contracting or not necessarily full-time employee? So I'm excited to get into this topic and figure out, what is it about Latin America that makes that area, at least today, appear to be what seems to be a booming space for technology talent.
Yeah. When it comes to Latin America, people usually compare this region with India or with Eastern Europe. So you have some difference between regions, between the talent. First of all, obviously the time zone, it's much better because Argentina, for instance, or Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay, we are all aligned in terms of time zone with the US. Argentina is only 1 hour ahead of Eastern time and 4 hours ahead of Pacific time. So you can share at least half of the day, but most of the times the whole day working with your team. So we have been working remote since we started. We are a remote first company. So I'm a big fan of saying that not being in the same physical space, it's different than not being sharing a space. I mean, we can be sharing a Slack channel or Discord, having good communication, understanding how to write emails in the right way to work and not at the same moment. So there are many tools that you can use as a team, and even more if you're a team leader, to work remote with people and not feel that gap. If you don't need to work with a person just sitting next to you, it's because you don't know or you are afraid or about how to deal with that relationship. So coming back to the first point, the first thing is time zone. The second thing is that Latin America is very close in terms of culture with the US because of the movies, because of the food, because of the music, because of the language. For instance, especially in Argentina, we always we grew up learning English at school because in Argentina that if you want to create like a global company or you want to work for a company abroad, no matter the country where the company is located, you need to speak English, and that's a must. That's why, for instance, my children, they are 2 and 6 years old and they go to a bilingual school, because I know that eventually they will need, I don't know now with AI, in 20 years, we don't know, but eventually they will need to talk this language. I mean, this is my second language, but I always knew that it's a must for me because I want to go globally. So culture is the second thing. The language barrier is super low. In general terms, the level of English in Latin America, it's much better than India or Eastern Europe. And last but not least, you have some of the best talent for a really like a cost efficient pricing. Argentina, for instance, has one of the best universities in the whole region. It's in the top 10, and the university is completely free, as I was telling you. So you can go to the university, and many people go to the university because it's free, it's public for everyone, and you can basically do your whole career paying nothing. Being a software engineer or a doctor or an architect, wherever. So that's why like a really good education, a really good level of English, a great time zone, very like a huge alignment in terms of culture, all those things are a perfect, like a melting pot to create amazing talent that is ready to work with any country, basically.
So you're bringing up a good point, and going back to one of the points you started with is this remote. You guys were remote first, and that's kind of how you always operate it. I want to talk about that a little bit because there's an interesting change in using offshore compared to nearshore resources, or even when you're thinking about even within your local region. And that change has been really driven by the pandemic as of 2020. Now, before 2020, we were doing some offshore contracts where we brought in some contractors to do some work for us, and we have been working through that. And I will tell you that what I've learned from that was there was always a cadence that you had to get into with the unit that you were working with offshore. Once you could identify that cadence and they could understand the requirements that you needed from them, how you wanted them to perform, what your expectations were. And why I say cadence is because that level of communication on a regular basis to make the right decisions, to move to the next step or to get the next thing done was very important. That's where the gaps typically were in communication. So I would have a project. I say, this is the scope. This is what you need to do. It might be all written up and documented. And they would go to work. Well, as soon as they would hit an issue, then they have to make a decision. Who do I contact? Who do I talk to over there? Or do I just keep trying to work through it? Is it timely? Do I do it like immediate? Or do I do it at the end of the week? Do we have weekly stand-ups? Do we have daily stand-ups? How do I address this? All of those things matter for an operation like that to work very effective. Well, we were doing it, but there was really, you just kind of figured it out and made it up on your own. As of the pandemic forced everyone to learn how to do that very well.
Yeah, it did.
And so everyone went to moving remote, and now you're working, your entire workforce is having to figure out how to communicate remotely in a good cadence. And I think very good strategies came out of that now make working with offshore groups better than it was prior to the pandemic. And we're seeing the rewards of that. I've since then have worked with orgs in India, orgs in the Ukraine, orgs in Mexico, and we have figured out how to make that work for that reason. It's worked well. Slack, Discord, Teams, those channels have worked very well for this constant communication. So I do believe the barrier now that we used to face has been removed, and we have more opportunities to be able to take advantage of those workforces. Kevin, have you done much with offshore?
Yeah. And to your point, I think you can't emphasize enough that when you think about what the pandemic did to change the way we work, it's massive. We probably would have assumed it would be too hard to adjust or adapt to meet those logistical barriers, or I don't even want to call them barriers because they're not really barriers. We've proven that they're not. It's more logistical hurdles, and they're not even as tall as we thought they were. And the pandemic kind of helped to prove that out. And it proved that the technology that spun out of the pandemic in a lightning fast way to make these things possible. You look at virtual meeting, the WebExes, the Teams, the Zooms, those actually exponentially exploded overnight. As soon as the pandemic realized, okay, here's an opportunity here, we're going to have hundreds of thousands more requests literally within weeks. So they had to expand, they had to adapt, they had to add new features. There were security things that happened early on. You remember the stuff with Zoom bombing. I mean, we had to work through a lot of little things as we progressed down this road. But the thing that came out of it was, hey, we can do this. This is now possible, and it's not as hard as we thought it might have been challenge-wise. But to Roger's point, when you start thinking about what the real challenges are, and to what you were saying, Jason, with getting on that cadence, it's much harder to get on a cadence when you're working and I'm asleep. Roger mentioned the time zones. How critical is that you can spend 4 hours or more with your remote workforce and your remote staff to do that collaboration and get on those calls and do that level setting to keep the projects moving in the pace they need to move and meet the deadlines.
Yeah, I want to add to that too, because that's an important piece. Like I was saying, I worked with them in various different areas of the country. One of the hardest ones from a time zone perspective was working with a global company that had offices in Australia, and those meetings had to occur. It was going to be nighttime for somebody.
Yeah.
So it was either going to be my nighttime or your nighttime, and what I would rather be is my nighttime, your daytime, because I can tell you exactly what I need you to do for the day, and then go to bed. And then you can do all your
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Right.
then you
I
do
can
all your
line you
work for
out
that
for
day,
the
and then
day.
we meet the
Yeah.
next night and do the same thing, right? So that
Yeah.
was those things you have to orchestrate and manage. And yes, they create barriers, but you have to find ways to work through them. To your point, I was always more pleased when I had more crossover times that we could work together in those times.
Synchronous
That
time.
worked
Yeah.
well. Yep.
Something that it's
Yeah.
weird but really good about people in general from that were born in Latin America is that we went through so many crises as a region, especially in Argentina. Remember, I don't know if you know, but in Argentina 2 years ago we had 350% of inflation in 1 year.
Yeah.
In 1 year, and
Yeah.
now we have 20%. So it's amazing, but also you have to figure out how to lead your company. And if you're an employee, you have to figure out how to live in a country that has more than 300% of inflation, and 2 years later 20%, and nobody know what will happen next year.
Right.
So that makes a point,
Yeah.
because you are always being flexible. You are always thinking about, okay, how I will go through this obstacle. And that is something that you always transfer to the project that you are working for. So it's not only about time zone, it's not only about culture, it's not only about communication skills, it's also about having the chance to being a doer and make self decisions. Many times you will find that working with people in LATAM, they will make decisions for you. Sometimes it will be okay, sometimes no, obviously, but they will make decisions. So those decisions, many times little decisions like you were mentioning, like, okay, this button, it's red or blue, whatever, make things move faster. On the other hand, if you need to wait 12 hours because of the time zone difference, because you can't make any kind of small decisions, so you think that you are paying less because you are paying 20 instead of paying 40, but at the end of the day, you're spending more. Another important thing, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say we struggle with some of those decisions even locally with our own U.S. based hired staff that are afraid to make certain decisions without your input. So I can't you can just double or triple that delay based on working with someone that doesn't feel like they even have the right to make the decision. They have to get your input on the decision. So yeah, I would imagine that's going to be one of
Roger,
your
I've got
bigger
a couple
barriers.
of questions that I want to ask you. One is the first one is, okay, I'll put my CISO hat on, and I'm looking to expand my team. I need more coverage in certain areas. I come to you and I say, hey, Roger, here's what I'm looking at doing. I need these types of resources. I'm a small, medium-sized company. I need these types of resources. Cost is not an issue, but I'm conscious about the cost. I don't want to overspend on this stuff, but I do want something very effective for the organization. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I want it to be a longer term relationship. So it's important for me to be able to build a relationship with you for those reasons, that you understand my cadence, you understand our needs and our desires and what we're looking for, and are able to staff out and fill the roles. Because today it might be 3 positions, tomorrow might be 3 more. And I need you to be able to know what our needs are so you can staff the right people that fit for us. To walk me through what that looks like. What are the next steps? Like how would we approach that further?
Yeah, sure. We first jump into a discovery call where we ask questions about the profile, about what are you looking for, this kind of developer. We always research about if you have technical people in your staff or not, because it's not the same for us and it's not the same type of developer. the one who will be assigned if you are a technical founder or if you are a non-technical founder. So different kind of questions that help us understand what kind of profile are you looking for. Because one of the things that we do differently is that we don't share with you 30 candidates, 40 candidates, because we understood that one of the most expensive things of any company is the CTO and his time. So we discovered that most of the times CTOs need to do maybe 40 interviews and spend and waste a lot of time just to hire one person. So we do the whole process. We are a software development company, so we know how to interview, how to do technical interviews to developers. So we find the one that we know that is the right one, and we present it to you. So you will do that interview, and I can assure that maybe it will not be the right fit, but you will not lose your time, because that person in front of you will be your fit, 100% sure. And so coming back to the steps after that discovery call, we schedule another call of half an hour just to present the proposal. And in that presentation, we explain to the client why we believe that they should go for a squad model, which is an entire team with a project manager, with a QA, with a developer, or if they are ready to go through the staff augmentation mode. Usually, the game changer there is if they have a technical team or not. When we have clients that if the client doesn't have a technical team, we never assign only a developer, because that will not work. We know it. We have been doing this for more than 10 years. If you are not a technical person, it's like for me trying to lead an architect to build a house. I have no idea. So the same happens if you are a businessman and you are trying to lead a developer. You can have the best developer in the world, but if you don't know how to talk to him, that will fail. So we try to discover those little things to really add value at the end of the day. That's part of the process. So we present the proposal saying, okay, this is the proposal that we know that is the right choice for you, squad or staff augmentation, whatever the service it goes. And after that, if they are ready to move forward, we start working. And they usually don't pay any cent until they have the person seated in front of the computer writing code. So we are using AI in the whole recruiting process. So we are always recruiting and doing databases, and we always have people. And then we find like the right fit depending on the technology stack and everything. So we can present to you that person for free, and we start charging you when the person is seated in front of the computer, start writing code, and that's usually like a no-brainer for the clients because they have like no risk, and it's a different approach. So it's working, or at least it has been working in the last years.
Yeah. So my second question is, and this is a common, in fact, Kevin and I just talked about this question on a cybersecurity think tank group last week. And the question is,
I'm
how do
curious
you handle,
now. What was it?
and I know this depends on your client, but how do you typically handle securing the environments that your developers are using on behalf of the work that they're providing to a client? Because a client is going to have certain cybersecurity restrictions or regulations that they have to adhere to across their workforce. How does that typically get integrated with the individuals that you bring on for that client?
Well, that doesn't change if the employee is your employee or our employee. Is the same, because if it's not working in your office under your VPN or whatever, it's the same. But we usually adapt our processes to our clients. For instance, some of our clients are in healthcare, So they have IPA compliance and different kind of certificates. So we have politics in terms of passwords, in terms of changing the passwords. We do not have any kind of AWS or Google GCP accounts under our names. We always empower our clients to create their accounts because the code is on you. I mean, it's your code. It's not my code. I work with so many clients that came to us saying, I can't recover my code because they say that if I'm not paying, they will not give it to me. So that's impossible to understand for me in century 21. So we always empower our clients to be owners of those things. Regarding developers, if needed, they can go through a VPN to be like in a safer environment. And when it comes to data, like very, very critical, like I know the database of healthcare in the US, we usually try not to have direct access to the database. So it's another layer that many times those kind of companies say, okay, the only person that can get into the database is my CTO. Okay, we are okay with that. I prefer that. So it's always something we can talk about with each client, and we are pretty flexible in terms of giving them the confidence.
Yeah.
Roger, I've joked around with Jason a lot on this in past episodes where we talk about the pandemic and positive things that have come out of the pandemic. You think about pandemic's not a positive topic for anyone, but in my opinion, two good things did come out of it. To-go frozen margaritas, that's a thing in Texas where I'm from. So I could drive through and get my frozen margaritas, which is amazing. And then remote work. Obviously, this whole hybrid or remote
margaritas
work capabilities
work.
that's gone out of it is huge.
That's a good combination.
That's my two. I always go to, and in that order too. I'll say that as well. But there's no doubt. We know we can make it work. We've seen it. The technology's there. All of that. So let's go back to Latin America and talk about some of these new regions that are, and maybe they're not new there, but these regions to US that are new, that are emerging. You've got Colombia, Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and what we're seeing is a lot of boot camps are spinning up as well for certification type boot camps. You mentioned the free education that's going on there. It's booming. So this is the next big, awesome tech hub that works well with North America because of that time zone. But I want to ask this question. I'm saying all this to lead into this because I don't know if there's limits on what Braintly can provide good candidates for it. Who is your perfect partner company candidate? Is it small to medium? Can you work in massive size and massive scale?
Our clients,
what does that look like?
Are small and medium-sized businesses. 100% of them in the US. They have between 20 and 80 or 90 employees. And 100% of the times, we scale their teams. They have a small technical team in-house, CTO, maybe a technical leader or one senior developer that has been with them forever. And they want to scale and empower a new team, but they can't do it hiring people in the US because it's expensive. And thanks to COVID, and after COVID, they discovered that, okay, I can do it in Latin America and it's the same, and I can find the same level of talent. I think the COVID hit down these kind of barriers that we used to believe that, okay, the best talent is always from Stanford. And that's not true. Stanford is one of the best universities in the world without any kind of doubt. And people from there are amazing. But there are plenty of talent everywhere, especially in Latin America, in Colombia and Argentina. Colombia and Argentina are both the countries that have the most amount of developers per capita, and I think that's because some of the biggest unicorns were born in Latin America. Okay, not. I mean, if you compare Latin America against Eastern Europe, for instance, or India, let's not talk about Amazon, obviously. So, for instance, in Argentina, the first unicorn from Latin America was created in Argentina, and it was created in 1999. It's Mercado Libre. Maybe you heard about it. It's kind of eBay or Amazon for us.
Mm-hmm.
And Mercado Libre right now, they became a unicorn, I think, in 2014, probably.
Yeah.
And now it's the most valuable company in Latin America.
Yeah.
And there are so many talent that were raised, like training and working for companies like Mercado Libre and many others. We are the country in Latin America with the most amount of unicorns per capita also. So there are talent that is ready to work for those quality and level of companies. That's why they are more than ready to work for any company worldwide, in London, in New York, in San Francisco, wherever. So obviously COVID helped because many companies, I think probably in the Midwest or smaller cities in the US, they were not ready to work remote, and because of COVID, they were forced to do it. So they ended up realizing that, okay, I can do this, and it's the same, and I'm paying 50% less, but getting the same quality and a great level of English and the same time zone and everything, and that's why it's working. Now we are all challenged because of AI, the industry in general, and I think it will be a new thing like COVID.
Absolutely.
Most people don't know this. Most people don't know my background, Jason. They don't know that my background is technically in advertising and marketing. So I've come up with a new slogan for South America for you. The Argentina, actually. The Silicon Valley of South America.
Wow, that's original, Kevin.
That's what we're going to go with.
You know that
thanks,
now
man. I like it too. I'm getting business cards made now.
We have a new president. He started a year and a half ago, Milei. Maybe you heard about him because it's a close friend of Trump. And I know if that's good or not. Don't go inside this point, but yeah. But the thing is that anymore? I realized that in the lab, I go to the US 6 times a year, and it's happening more and more to me than being from Argentina. It's becoming something cool, and people is starting asking about Argentina because of Milei, because he's crazy, and you see at him and you think, okay, I can't believe how this guy is a president, but he's putting us in the map again, even more than because of the soccer and Messi and Maradona. So many great things are happening in the region, and there's a huge opportunity without any kind of doubt.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let's go to our first break and regroup, and we're going to come back and start up our second segment. This has been a great conversation to lay the groundwork, and then let's come back and get a little deeper.
Let's do it. I'm going to workshop that slogan a little bit on break too. All right.
Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. Imagine taking a proactive, deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity, blocking every action, process, and user unless specifically authorized by your team. ThreatLocker helps you do this and provides a full audit of every action, allowed or blocked, for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based support team. Stop the exploitation of trusted applications within your organization to keep you running efficiently and secure, protected from ransomware. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance for your organization, visit threatlocker.com.
Welcome back, everyone. And we have been laying the groundwork of this conversation around outsourcing talent from other potential areas like Latin America. And today we have with us Roger Einstoss from Braintly. And if you've missed it, this is what we're talking about. Braintly is a staff augmentation company with a focus on Latin America. We've been discussing why Latin America, what is different about the services they have to offer, and why you should consider them as you're looking for resources in staff augmentation. So if you're an SMB looking to streamline your processes and scale your business, you should at least consider Latin America if you haven't already. I think it would be important to do a little myth busting here, Roger. And one of the things I'd like to bust is this concept. You know, in America, we tend to have this concept of you get what you pay for. Often that's true. There are cases when that's not necessarily true, or what you pay for has value in different ways. And so one of those would be when we think about the cost of staffing in Latin America compared to staffing in the US or in other regions, Europe, for example, India, how I've seen numbers that, and I've seen them for a while over the last few years, the numbers are really interesting in what you could pay in order to augment your staff compared to some of these other regions. So what can you tell us about that a little bit more and help us debunk this myth of, if I'm paying lower cost, am I really going to get lower quality resources? Help us understand this.
Okay. In terms of saving, you will usually save up to 50 or 60% of the cost if you compare hiring an engineer in Latin America against hiring the same level of engineer in the US. So it's not insane, but it's a good amount of money. Even more if you have 4, 5, 6, 10 team members. And regarding how can I transfer this confidence about that you are not getting less because you are paying less, I'm not partial. I would say that that everyone that I know that tried working with people from Latin America, they are still working with people from Latin America. So that's a really good demonstration and guarantee that it just works. And I think that it's not because of the money, because if you think that you are paying 50% less, but for someone who is living in the US, you will probably getting less quality. But you have to understand that you are paying 50% less for someone who is living in another country, paying another rent. It's cheaper to buy food, to the public transportation. I don't know, in New York, subway, it's like $3 the ride. In Argentina is 40 cents of dollar a ride. Same happens with in Argentina, for $5,000 you can rent a mansion, and in New York you rent like a studio. So it's
Cost
cheaper
of living
because
is
living
less.
here is cheaper. So that's why it's not because you will find lower quality.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I've paid extra
Give it a
in the
try.
US and have gotten lower quality. So,
that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I pay Jason for any kind of help, I get the lowest
It's
possible
top-notch.
quality.
It's
like,
extra.
oh, what can I do to get this off my plate as quickly as possible? That's basically the effort levels I get with Jason.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we were talking about the discovery call and all on the whole sales process. And I think that you have to, or you should start evaluating the person that they will assign to you from the very first call.
Yeah.
In terms of the kind of question that the person asks, it's not the same if you are trying to hire developers from a big company that you know that there is a salesman that will will disappear just after the transaction, and then you will start talking with an operational team, and well, it's something that you have to feel. And since we work most of the times with entrepreneurs and founders, I think 90% of them have that feeling because they are building companies. They know how to deal with people, so they can feel it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some of the success stories, Roger. I've looked at your website, and we know typically when we think of manufacturing, the U.S. companies tend to lean towards Asia or Mexico. When you think tech, a lot of U.S. companies might be thinking India or Ukraine, but most don't think about Latin American countries. So, but looking at your website, I can see there are some very big names out there that have obviously looked your way and are working with you today. Names like Volkswagen and Tupperware and Nikon and T-Mobile. These are just some of the bigger companies that I noticed. So when working with companies like that, I know you guys probably had plenty of opportunities to establish and determine here what are some of the best success stories. So can we just talk about that for just a couple minutes? Some of your best success stories that you can think of offhand?
Yeah, I have many success stories, and I also have many like unsuccess stories. Like you can imagine, like any entrepreneur that has been building things for more than a decade.
Yeah.
Some story that I always like to tell is a story of a client of us that he's from Cleveland, in Ohio.
Yeah.
We have some clients in Cleveland, Ohio, and he founded his company before COVID. Then he sold it, and then during COVID he bought it again, the same company, to the buyer, because COVID changed the business, and the new owner didn't know how to deal with the new reality. So he went and said, "Okay, I will buy it again." He
Interesting.
did it, and he, the first time, he used to work with India. He had raised money. It was a different game. But the second time, he thought, "Okay, I will do it bootstrap this time." Because it was in 2021, I think, just before the bubble explosion of the venture capital. So he saw that and he told, "Okay, I will do it bootstrap this time." And his mother was from Peru, and that's why he was in some way related to the region, to Latin America. So we met each other in an event. We started talking about his project, and we ended up working together, and we are still working together. And something magical there is that we connected like so many dots. In one side, we are enabling talent from Latin America that were working for projects in Argentina to work for companies in the US and earning salaries in US dollars, which is a great thing if you live in Argentina. On the other hand, we are connecting him again with his his people in Latin America, because he comes to Argentina once a year.
Family.
He spends with the family and spends like 1 month working side by side with the team, and we eat a asado and drink red wine.
Nice.
And we empower him to live like the American culture. He's a big fan of the mate, by the way. And last but not least, he ended up growing his business even better than before COVID, working with offshore teams and spending a lot of money. He used to have also people in the US. So it's like a three-way thing that works, not only for the talent, but also for he as a person, and also for he as a professional, as an entrepreneur. So most of the times the success story is where clients tell us, "Okay, you saved me so many time, and I appreciate that." Because at the end of the day, something that all entrepreneurs don't have is time.
Yeah.
Because you
That's
have to do so
100%
many
true.
things. Yeah, you have to do so many things. You have to focus on so many things. Recruiting is something that we all hate as a founders.
Yeah.
So when they realize that you build the right team for them in like no time, they feel gratitude because they are now able to start working on the business, not in the business.
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
That is
So-
cool. That's a cool story.
So when we think about like kind of pulling this all together, when we think about those success stories, what would you say? And I think it would be important to also kind of conclude with what are some of the challenges that you've experienced when providing services, offshore services to companies in the U.S. that that you want people to know about that could be, improved upon or made better?
You mean in terms of the relationship between the clients and the team?
Yeah.
Or
What
you
what are the
okay.
things that break down that cause an offshore relationship to not work?
That's a really good question. You know that many times people in Latin America, you tend to be like long storytellers. We tend to do like many like rounds around the topic just to answer a question and not going directly to the point, just like I'm doing right now. So, and on the other hand, people from the US tend to be super frank, super direct.
Yeah.
And many times that difference makes or creates a kind of shock in the middle of everything. So we discovered over these times that not everyone in Argentina, that it's our market of developers, is ready to work with people in the US, because you have to understand that I will give you a perfect example of this. When I go to have lunch with a client in the US, it's 1 hour, and it's 1 hour, and I don't feel guilty because the client stands up an hour o'clock and go out. It's not
Yeah.
lack of respect. In Argentina, when I meet for lunch with clients, we spend 3 hours.
Wow.
Because we start talking about the family. Yesterday we did it. We are doing like a founders dinner initiative in New York and here in Buenos Aires. And yesterday we did it in Argentina, the second edition. We started having dinner at 8 p.m., which is normal time in Argentina. We ended up 2:30 a.m.
Oh my gosh. See,
2:30 a.m.
See, now that's at that point you're getting hungry again.
I know.
Yeah.
Start all over.
But you always have the drive-through McDonald's.
Yeah.
So that's part of the mystic.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you start working with another culture, like American culture, like US culture, you have to learn that, okay, like a dinner, it's 2 hours, a lunch is 1 hour. If I go to a call, I have to be sharp on time. It's 30 minutes. It's more, I know, predictable. You have to learn those little things, but it's like really small things.
Yeah.
If communication works, the rest is part of the history.
Yeah. What would be like 3 key takeaways that you would want our listeners to remember after this?
That's a good point. I would say don't believe that because you are coming to Latin America and paying less, you will get like lower quality. I really empower all the people to give it a try, no matter the industry where they are. Maybe marketing, maybe designers, maybe developers, whatever. The second thing is that I'm sure they will fall in love with the culture, because Latin American people are super warm people.
Yeah.
with long-term clients that I've been working for more than 2-3 years. Every time they see me now, they give me a hug, and they tell me "Hola, mi amigo." It's like "Hello, my friend."
Yeah.
But it's something new for them. It was weird. I remember first time I gave a hug to someone. They were like, "Oh no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is too much." And the third, I would love to. I know if it's something general from Latin America, but I would say something about me and about the company. I would love to like share or transmit this spirit of being always super transparent, um, even when you have a conversation like this or with a potential client, of if your audience are trying to find the right team in different regions, like being super honest and super frank and transparent about the things that you are care about, like, okay, how do you handle these public holidays, things about culture, like talk, I always say. If we are always open to talk, to communicate, to really work as a team, and not as a, okay, I am the client and I'm paying, so I'm always right, and us saying, okay, I have the developers, so I have the power. Okay, if you can figure out the relationship from another point of view, where we are both a team, I think it's the perfect recipe for magic and amazing things to happen.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you for those.
There's one more really good
ahead.
one too. You guys have the best food in the world. Best food.
And if you come here, I will cook an asado for you myself.
And he'll make you a margarita.
People say that I with a margarita, with red wine here. People say that I cook really good asados, but you should come and check it by yourself.
There you go.
Well, if I'm
We have
ever
a
in
great
South
steak.
America, I'm calling you and I'm saying, Roger, I expect some red wine, a good cooked meal, and a margarita.
You should.
Yeah.
You will have. Yeah.
All right. Well, Roger, we definitely thank you for taking the time to jump on with us and tell us all about not only Braintly but yourself as well, and some of the cultural things that are going on in South America. It's cool to see that technology is booming in these areas of the world, and it's great to help get the word out on that. It's clear cybersecurity talent and tech talent in general is no longer bound by borders. That's amazing. Thank you for building a team and helping to bridge this gap, because we know it really is a true problem. This cybersecurity specifically talent gap, it's a real thing, regardless of what you may or may not think. I truly believe it's real, because I see the issues and the problems that we're not fixing today with the talent that we do have. So whether the job openings are saying that or not, the reality of cybersecurity in the space we live in, and Jason and I both know this, it is real. So
Yes, sir.
My last thing would be, before I hand it over to Jason to close us out, where can the listeners find out more about you? Where can they link up with you? And where can they find out about Braintly?
Well, they can check out the website. It's braintly.com. I think that it will probably appear in the screen.
Yeah.
And also on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the best way to reach me. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, trying to share this thing of transparency that I've been talking about, trying to tell the world, okay, this is how we are building the company. This is what we are doing. These things are going right. These things are going wrong. It's part of the life, part of the journey. So if they can find me, or if they want to find me, they can do it on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Send me a message. tell me that you listened this episode, and that's enough.
And that alone gets them a free glass of wine if they're ever down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes with a free bottle of wine.
No, that's not a
All
glass,
right,
a bottle.
dang. So, just
Bottle, yeah. Remember that it's cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
discount code Cyber Distortion episode 9.
There you go.
You can get here a really, really premium bottle of wine for $10.
I'm all about
Premium.
that.
Oh,
I'm all about that.
It's
$10 up here gets you something that gets you one heck of a hangover the next day.
that's right.
yeah, or you buy just a beer.
Or buy a
exactly.
beer,
Exactly.
I know.
Drink. All right. Well, Roger, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fun. I enjoyed this conversation. I think we gave some really good key points about outsourcing alternatives, and hopefully people walk away with some options here. So this has just been great. Everyone, we will be taking a short break in our episodes as Kevin and I will be attending the Black Hat DEF CON Hacker Summer Camp here in a few weeks. And when we come back from that with all this lovely knowledge and expertise that we will gain, we will jump back in it and start broadcasting the rest of our episodes for the year. So look forward to that. We still have a lot of exciting things to share with you all. And with that, we're going to close this one out. Roger, thank you again for joining us. And we'll see you guys next time.
Watch the social media for the special events going on during Hacker Summer Camp. We will be posting all about them and where to register. If you're going out there, get registered and come see us and say hi to Jason and I. We'd love to hang out with you. Take care.
See you later.
Thank you for watching our latest episode of the Cyber Distortion podcast. We only grow with your support. The best thing you can do to help us grow is to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, follow us on X, and tell just one friend about the show. You can find out more about us on the blog site at www.cyberdistortion.com. Our X handle is @DistortionCyber, and you can also listen to our audio-only versions of the episodes on most major streaming podcast platforms. Just search for Cyber Distortion Podcast. Until next time, take care. Cheers.